Good morning and welcome to the Gospel of this morning. We have a title today, When God Has a Hand in It. Cornelius had revealed the vision of the angel to his two servants and to the soldier and sent them on their way to fetch Peter. And now the story goes on. And we want to read from Acts chapter 10 verses 9 to 16. And on the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. And he saw heaven open, and a vessel descending onto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spoke unto him again a second time, What God has cleansed, that call not thou common. Well, this was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. And then the first subtitle, On the morrow they drew up near the city. Joppa is about 48 kilometers away from Caesarea and easily reachable in one day. One would presume that they went on horseback or in a chariot. As it was an urgent matter, they must have left very early, perhaps even the evening before, to get there at noon the next day. Now, Peter went up to the roof around midday, the 6th hour in fact, to pray. It says that he was getting hungry, but the food was not yet ready. But while he was waiting, something unusual happened to him. He fell into a trance. The Greek word ecstasis is used. We can translate it in a strong way as ecstasy or trance. Or in a milder way, it could also mean amazement or astonishment. I think he had a divine vision that would prepare him for what was about to happen. Jews at that time had many preconceived ideas about who they were in relationship to other nations. They thought of themselves ethnically superior in relationship to God, forgetting that an Israelite sinner and a Gentile sinner had exactly the same eternal destination, downstairs in hell. God does not regard the person, but rather his behavior. I think it is very relevant today when we look at what is happening in the Middle East, and Christians are often blinded with the notion that Jews are worth more than any other nation or person in regard to God. We need to read a few Old Testament scriptures on that, which destroy that kind of exclusivity. God is always interested in humanity and makes choices only for purpose, and not exclusivity and personal. We want to read a scripture out from Psalm 87, verses 4 to 6. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. This man was born there, and of Zion it will be said, This and that man was born in here. And the highest himself shall establish her. The Lord shall count when he writeth up the people, that this man was born there. Then in Esther we have a scripture, and in every province and in every city, wheresoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now they were even outside of the promised land. And then in Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 23, the land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. for you are strangers and sojourners with me. Now the land does not belong to the Jews, it belongs to God. They are only temporarily the stewards of it for a specific purpose, with all other godly people that live in it. Without salvation, whether Jew nor Gentile has this stewardship. And then Ezekiel 47 and verse 21 to 23. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you. And they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. And they shall have an inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. Or Isaiah 56, verse 6 and 7. Also the sons of a stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servant, every one that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant. And here I want to insert, today it relates to the new covenant in Jesus. The unbeliever, Jew or Gentile, has no right to the land. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, it goes on, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For my house shall be called the house of prayer for all people. And then we have a perfect scripture in Revelation chapter 7, verses 9 to 10. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation is our God, or to our God, which sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb. It is this lesson that Peter has to learn presently when he sees the vision. Yes. And he saw heaven open and a certain vessel descended out of heaven. It looked like a sheet knotted together at the four corners. Peter then looked into it and saw an anti-kosher picture. Pig, snake, lobster, rabbit, swan, and duck. All unclean animals were represented in the sheet. And then comes the voice of the Lord, kill and eat. No, says Peter, I'm law-abiding, and I have never eaten such creepy crawly. He had created quite a religion for himself over the past few years. Remember how he withstood the Lord when he said, I will not have you wash my feet. There was an earlier incident when he wanted to defend Jesus. Matthew 16, verses 22 to 23. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But Jesus turned and he said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. God knows the end of things. Well, this time, the word of the Lord sinks in a little deeper. And when he sees the vision a second time, and the words resound, what God has cleansed, that call thou not common. This happened 3 times and left Peter in total confusion, because he had no idea what would follow. We can add to this that most Christians are just as confused with this vision as Peter was. We need first and foremost to study the text in context of what Jesus wants to bring across. We will soon discover that this in the next few verses. We have in the red letter Bible 2 sentences which we need to pay attention to. We will shortly deal with the first one and leave the second one for next time. Kill and eat. There could be nothing more offensive to a kosher living person than this. Yet it is spoken clearly by the Lord. The Old Testament law had a few facets which need to be taken into consideration. And we need to look at the verse when Jesus said that not one tittle of the law should be done away with until all is fulfilled. Well, we have different kinds of laws in the Old Testament. There is the law of righteousness, which deals with sin and has been completely fulfilled in Jesus Christ on the cross. Then we have the moral laws, basically contained in the Ten Commandments, which teach us how to live a life under God with other men. Then we have health laws, which pertain to issues of diet and health and hygiene. Now, most health, moral and hygiene laws are absorbed into our general laws of the land, daily in use, even unknowingly to most people. And when it comes to dietary laws, we suddenly have a strong division among believers even. I personally have no problem in believing that God gave excellent advice to Israel concerning what is good for a person to eat and what is not. I leave it to every person to decide for themselves what is healthy and what not. Well, dietitians have written hundreds of books giving advice, and some people pay attention to them and others do not. There is a law that stands above all dietary counts and laws. And I must emphasize this. A lot of dietary laws are just a count. Now, this law that stands above all that is the law of love, which does not offend. Now, thus far today, and we will meet again next Saturday in the Gospel. God bless you. Amen.